33, which, little, with some triple Empress energy, some triple Goddess energy, and some Hermit energy, because, that's just the way things are right now. In any case, I wanted to come on because, one, I wanted to let y'all know that I'm going to be doing some more readings soon. Kind of like Spirit gave me a little what I call spirit cookie of an idea of like, instead of beating myself up for not being able to do like every sign every week or day or anything like that, just like trying to do like a certain amount of readings a month. That's way easier with my new work schedules and things like that are going on. And that should hopefully, provide some more interesting stuff for y'all who, have been with me for, I was thinking about it, it's been since 2019 that I started this channel. And, it was the end of 2019, so it's going on 5 years. And I feel like that's pretty good. I've not always been the most active, but I've also continued to work on it. And for those of you that have been here since the beginning, yes. And you know what? I've been feeling more and more lately too to say an extra bit of thank you to those of you that, helped out when we were going through hard times. So, I might keep it fairly short and sweet. This is some intuitions that have been coming in about our current Saturn retrograde. And, in general, when Saturn is retrograde, there's likely to be looser boundaries and like the rules are a little more subjective. Things that couldn't normally happen have a higher likelihood of being able to happen, especially if they were not able to happen because of certain rules or laws or um, typical expectations, things like that. And you're gonna have to like I'm kind of praying, I'm painting with a broad brush because that will mean different things to different people and depend on the situation that you're in. Though the sense that I've been getting as I saw 222 on the clock was that you want to be careful. Like, yes, there may be plenty of things that while Saturn is retrograde that you could absolutely get away with now that you couldn't get away with in other times. However, the question is more, should you? Like, it's kind of it feels like a test of integrity in a way. Like, in, integrity, one of the meanings of integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. So imagine it being like Saturn, it's the parent that's normally got their eye on you and be like, hey, don't do that. Well, when that parent is not in the room, are you going to go do it anyways? Or are you going to be like, hey, you know what? I know I'm not supposed to do that. So I'm not going to do it even when they're not here. Like, I'd rather have the feeling of praise later for, like, hey, you were good in those moments when I was gone. I can trust you. I feel like I can leave you with, I can give you more responsibility. I can trust that you can be left alone, kind of thing. But like, apply this to work situations. Apply this to relationship situations. If you're co-parenting, if you're dealing with the legal system, in emphasis, I'm going to emphasize the legal system because Saturn rules that rules the legal system, and Capricorn in the 10th house is, it is the legal system. Like, the courts, we live in that place, even if we don't have anything to do with like physical human courts, like that is the energy of Capricorn and thus Saturn. So like, if you're dealing with anything that has to do with court type stuff or the system in that way, bear in mind that to some degree you might be in the middle of a test, or you may have been put through a test that was like, what will you do if we pretend that, like, if we're not looking, whether it's pretend like, well, I'm looking the other way, or whether it's real, like, I have to go and deal with an emergency thing that's going to take my attention away from keeping an eye on you. And if I'm not keeping my eye on you, what are you going to do? you know it's like, I mean, you could take, for example, somebody who's gotten a DUI or multiple DUIs, or something that may create like a specific focus in a court situation. The judges are typically going to look for how high of a risk is this person for doing it again, because the higher risk they are for doing it again, the higher risk they are for hurting others, hurting themselves, damaging property, etc. Right? So they might, it might be that like either just before this time or in this time of Saturn retrograde, the courts might, maybe they won't like say, oh, you're free and clear, but they might like back off and be like, what does this person do with their time? We want to see you again in a few months, maybe a few months after that. And it's very likely that because of the Saturn energy, they're going to be in a situation of being like, they're watching to see, like, does this person go and get treatment? Do they go to AA? Do they come in a remorseful space and show that they've learned a lesson about it? Like, how likely is this person to be proactive about addressing the issues they're going through, And you can apply that to other areas, especially with the court type energy. It could be in dealing with CPS, it could be in dealing with traffic court, it could be in dealing with criminal court, all these kinds of things. It's like, it feels like the energy of, hey guys, good to see you. It feels like the energy of, like, when they do that experiment where they'll put a small plate with a marshmallow on it in front of younger kids and be like, hey, if you can wait until, I'm going to leave the room. If you can wait until I come back into the room before you eat that marshmallow, I'll give you a second marshmallow. Right? So then you get two if you can wait. And some of the kids can't wait. And they eat the marshmallow. And they're not even left in there for like more than 2 minutes, right? But they just eat it. So they only get one marshmallow, which isn't necessarily a bad outcome. But isn't it even better if you get two marshmallows at the end? At least, that's supposed to be the idea. And so in a similar way, it feels like the energy right now of, Saturn in retrograde is kind of, it's more the energy of, we're going to leave this marshmallow on your plate. And if you can let it sit there, we'll give you 5 marshmallows. But if you eat it, then you will never get a marshmallow again. Like, if you eat it within that time frame, you won't get a marshmallow in it for a very long time. Like, that'll be the last marshmallow you're gonna have for until next Saturn retrograde kind of thing, Um, and likewise, like I said, this could be in a work situation as well. It could be like, maybe your bosses give you some extra responsibilities to see how you will manage them. And maybe, it could even be that they need to apply their attention elsewhere. So they actually need you to be able to be good at it. But it's also, in a way, kind of a test of like, will you be good at it? Will you follow directions? Will you be accountable when you don't do it? Like, what? How will it go? And if you don't do well, if you're not following directions, if you don't show up and be like, here's that report, or here's the keys to that card you wanted me to get for your uncle, or or whatever thing it is, or hey, I fixed A, B, C, D, and E and then cleaned up ABC, like whatever the thing is, if you don't do it, or you're not productive, or you don't achieve what they wanted, if you don't exceed expectations, it's one of those, like, you might not get in trouble for not having done it, but you're also not going to be on the list anymore of potential candidates for like better opportunities, if that makes sense. And likewise, if it's if you're seeking more like love energy, could be a similar thing of like, whoever you're with, it could be one of those, like, maybe they need to go and take care of some family members or do something along those lines, and they really need to have their head in that space of caring for the kids or caring for the parents or whatever thing. And they may be like, hey, you know what, I have to go do this thing, could you take care of XYZ for me? And then otherwise, just like, be yourself, and like, don't cheat on me, don't take something from me, don't do anything that that would ruin our relationships, sort of thing. And it may be one of those that some people would think, oh, well, I've got extra time to be able to get away with things now. Well, this is the time when Saturn ends up going direct again, you're going to get caught. And it's likely going to be one of those situations to where, because you were able to get away with more while Saturn was retrograde, the consequences will be worse when Saturn goes direct and you're caught because you went further, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, try to hold yourself to your integrity, even in situations right now, they're like, I could get away with that. Like, I could get away with not doing as much work. I could get away with going and seeing so and so while my partner's busy. I could get away with borrowing a little extra money. I could get away with, you know what I mean? Things like that, because in normal times when Saturn is direct, you're going to have like a swifter response. You're also not likely to take it as far, or to have the ability to take it as far. And so in this moment, when you can go even further, you're going to, like, Saturn is the judge, right? You're going to be judged by what you decided to do when you had the liberty to do it, if that makes sense. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. And we'll see how quickly I can get some more videos up soon. I'm hoping to kind of do at least a weekly thing, of maybe 2 or 3 videos, probably focusing on the signs and stuff like that, but we'll see where it goes.